So this lesson is on the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is the culmination of our unit on America's involvement abroad from World War II and into the years following. So we talked about why we got involved in World War II, the way the world changed because of that, how we were involved in that change. We talked about the arms race, and then now this is sort of the culmination of that time in history and the idea that we're not going to think about the world only as the next war is going to be nuclear annihilation, but there's going to be a different type of war afterwards. So we'll go on and talk about the Vietnam War, and it was never going to be a nuclear contest. It's a different sort of thing. The Cuban Missile Crisis is the end of that. Also, the lesson deals a lot with collaboration and problem solving, dealing with the international relations of that time period. So there's other components, but it's really a transition. It's the last lesson of this unit before we get into more of the at-home things. We'll talk about the civil rights movement next. So they need to understand the basic idea of how the Cuban Missile Crisis fit into the broader idea of the Cold War, why putting missiles in Cuba was an imbalance, how close we came to catastrophe there, some of the political gutsiness that it took to make the whole thing happen in the end. Those would be the key parts. They do need to understand the final deal, the idea that there was a trade in a way, missiles out of Cuba in exchange for whatever else, because that helps them understand sort of the long-lasting time period of the Cold War, why we agreed to never fight about it, so we just let everything sit. That's going to be an important outcome of the lesson. Each point I present the new information, then they discuss in groups, and I walk around and monitor the groups, and I'll ask questions to try and clarify what they're thinking. Then they share out so they can see how similar their thinking is to other people. And then I can, if a group is really pressing an alternative idea, then I can kind of probe into there and see what's their thinking, and sometimes we can tease out some really interesting ideas through that process. So this one, again, like the lesson before, is there's a PowerPoint that guides it. So it sets up the beginning, it sets up sort of the ground rules about how to play, the instructions on the screen. Read these two documents, complete the first decision page on page 3 of the packet. And so then it's all pretty well written out to guide them through. So during the role play, there's 3 points, and it's essentially every time is what should Kennedy do, and then in the first 2 setups, there's a series of options. He should implement an embargo. He should order a full-scale attack. He should do nothing and wait and see. And then the final one is the point where Kennedy had to be most creative, and so I don't give a set of options. He said, "This is your last chance to prevent nuclear war. Now what?" And see what they can come up with. It's like a puzzle. It's like in a way, it's a little like a video game. Like one of those when you're a little kid and you read the story that says, choose your own adventure. You choose this, turn to page 14. It's like that. In fact, when I first envisioned the whole lesson, I thought I might play it something like that originally, and then I decided that it would be a little more strictly historical rather than a total make up your own adventure where I was rewriting history. But that was the original idea of it. It was sort of like a game. This is one where they're going to be playing Kennedy's advisors. So they're going to, 3 times in the lesson, they're going to get new information. 2 days have passed and now you know this. Or you sent a letter to Khrushchev and now he's responded with this. And so they're the advising team rather than Kennedy himself. And this is a role I think they're going to play a lot in life, not as advisors to the president in crisis, but they're going to be working at a business and their boss is going to put them down with a team and say, what should we do? Or you need to set up, like some of the students now, they work at stores at the mall, and then no doubt they get told by their boss, you and your, whoever else works with them, go make a display. They're going to have to collaborate and figure out what's going on and what's the best route to take or give advice, and this is a good chance to practice.